Okay, back to what I was saying about Element. It's a little all over the place. I'm so happy to have these back in my life. Also, I personally hate Nair. It was quite an interesting situation. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Ashley. I'm a first-time mama enjoying making lifestyle motherhood content. And today I have my last official pregnancy type video before I do my birth story video of my son, who is officially 5 weeks old now. How we have gotten to this point so quickly. It's a little scary for the future. But this is going to be my third trimester tips, tricks, and product haul review. I've done one of these for my other 2 trimesters, and I did want to follow through by doing it for all 3 trimesters. If you're out there in the thick of your 3rd trimester or about to enter your 3rd trimester, I hope that this finds you well. I do have a baby that is supposed to be kind of napping at the moment. He is a little stirry, so I did want to do this. I'd planned to do this in my bedroom, but he is in there right now occupying that space, and we are not messing with him. So we're in the living room today. I'm going to try and do this as quickly and efficiently as possible, just for the sake of him. But I did not grab these items from my house, around my house. A lot of them were like in the bedroom or the bathroom, which is in our bedroom. And I also just, like I said, for the sake of time, didn't want to spend much time gathering these products. So I will pop in pictures across the top, as I love to do. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I was pretty good about jotting down things that I really used frequently or were lifesavers during my 3rd trimester. But then I also tried to reflect on that time and think about what I needed. So it's a little all over the place and maybe like not in the best order. But anyways, the first thing I have on here, I have 2 things that kind of go hand in hand. The first thing are the Element electrolyte powders. It's LMNT and it's pronounced Element. These are basically like the same kind of idea as Liquid IV, if you've heard of Liquid IV. However, I'm gonna go put a passy back in a mouth. Okay, back to what I was saying about Element. These are like Liquid IV, but Liquid IV are pretty high in sugar. So this is a good way to avoid sugar. They are salt-based, and that will help a lot with cramps, because I got a lot of Charlie horses in my 2nd trimester and then into my 3rd trimester. This is literally what like cleared the Charlie horses. So there's magnesium, I think it's like 10 grams of magnesium, and then there's a lot of salt. So it kind of replenishes that back into your body, as well as it keeps you really hydrated, which is really key in pregnancy, especially 3rd trimester. And for me, summer. Speaking of hydration, let's have a little dehydration moment. I'm so happy to have these back in my life. Okay, so kind of going hand in hand with Element powder is magnesium glycinate powder. I will say, warning, do not use this product unless you've spoken with a healthcare professional, healthcare provider about it. My chiropractor is the one who referred me to this, and she's a like prenatal chiropractor, but it's very important that you use a correct form of magnesium. There are many forms of magnesium, so you need to use the one that's like pregnancy safe and going to help you with whatever your issue is. But again, my issue was the Charlie horses. They were literally the worst, one of the worst parts of pregnancy for me, because I was getting them almost every night in my sleep, and they would just wake you up out of nowhere. They were so painful and so hard to get rid of. Magnesium glycinate was the one that was pregnancy safe and approved like for me to use and helped with the Charlie horses in pregnancy. So when I would do the Element mixed with that, it totally took care of the Charlie horses. I will say it was totally on a 24-hour basis. Like if I forgot one day, I was getting a Charlie horse that night. It was that on demand. It was crazy, but this really helped me with that. However, I will say with the magnesium, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because the magnesium glycinate, it relaxes like everything in your body, which is what helps you not get the Charlie horses, but it does relax your bowels. So I was having a good amount of really loose stool / diarrhea with it. So you kind of need to figure out like what's going to work for you. I think once I realized that the magnesium was the cause of the diarrhea, I started doing the magnesium only like every other day, and then the Element every day. And was like the key for me. Okay, moving on to the next thing. This is also, I guess, gonna go with that a little bit, but a Stanley cup. I'm pretty sure I included that in my 2nd trimester product tips and tricks things, but you're going to want to get a Stanley cup, or, I mean, I say a Stanley cup because they're my favorite for sure, but a Yeti, a Hydro Flask, anything that can keep your beverage, your water really cold or however you like it and hold a good amount and be like kind of travel friendly, because you need to have them with you all the time. So like one that fits in a cup holder of a car is the most preferred, and that's why I love the Stanleys. I also recommend the Stanleys because they are a straw, and my pelvic floor therapist is the one who told me about Element, and she told me to make sure I drink it out of a straw because it can have a little bit of an effect on your gums, and so you don't want it like swishing all over your mouth kind of thing. So yeah, get a Stanley, stay hydrated. Next, I will get into my armpit skin saga. If you haven't watched my 3rd trimester recap, it's my most recent video before this. Go watch that because these things are kind of going to correlate with each other, like this video and last video. But my skin in my armpits just basically got like crazy sensitive in my 3rd trimester for about a month to 6 weeks. It was quite an interesting situation, but I did have to go through quite a few products to potentially help them get better. It was like just a loop of like doing the same thing all the time. Anyways, basically what worked to calm the infection or the inflammation, whatever it was that I had the most, was Benadryl cream. I went and saw my PCP, who I love, and I was like, hey, I want you to just look at this before I go to a dermatologist. She's the one who, Sheila was like coming up with all these ideas of things she thought would work, and then she would look on an app to see if they were like pregnancy safe, like what their rating was, and this was the one thing that was deemed safe for my pregnancy, and it did work wonders literally in like 24 hours. So I did the Benadryl cream for the rash and the spots in my armpit, on the back of my neck where my lymph node was like swollen from it. And I'm trying to remember now if it was just like regular Benadryl cream or if it had aloe or something in it. I think it was just the regular Benadryl cream. It was like a pink and white tube, but this was pregnancy safe, like I said, and it really like calmed the inflammation drastically. These next products are what I had to use to get by while the infection, inflammation, irritation, whatever it was calming down and like giving it a little bit of a break because it was very sensitive to deodorant. I had to use some specific wash and deodorant. It was the oat-based eczema deodorant and soap from Amazon. I will put both in here as well. The deodorant was like a roller ball. It was like very cooling, which was super nice. The wash was just like a very standard mild soap wash. I will say I did not love using that deodorant. It became something that I would have to put in my purse and take with me everywhere I went, because I was applying it like 4 to 5 times a day. I personally feel like I'm someone that has a little bit of like naturally stinkier armpits. Like I sweat easier. So like, okay, as long as I put deodorant on, I don't smell myself. So this is not a strong deodorant at all. It didn't have like many ingredients to protect against sweat or smell or stench or whatever. I did not love using this deodorant because I was smelling myself. I was stinky, I felt like. So I didn't love that, but it got the job done. It was better than no deodorant, obviously, and I had to refrain from normal deodorant or even my like clean Salt and Stone deodorant for like 2-ish weeks, I feel like, until everything was like super calm and ready to be treated normally again. And then the last product in this little saga is Nair. I feel like I used 2 kinds of Nair, and the second kind I used, it didn't completely make my armpits like baby's butt smooth, like super smooth, hair free, but it did get like 75% of the hair off. And then I was able to take the razor and like barely touch my skin, and it took the rest off. It's almost like that last 25% was just like hanging on by a thread and just needed a little extra boost. I don't know, none of this like totally made sense to me on why things were the way they were, but that was what ended up working for me. I used like just a regular Nair. I think I found one that was like for sensitive skin, and that worked for me, but it did take like 2 kinds of Nair for me to figure this out. Also, I personally hate Nair because I think it smells awful. Like you'll find ones that say that they have taken care of the scent. No, they haven't. It smells terrible in my opinion, but it did work. The next thing I have are some little cloud type slipper shoes, like slide on shoes. I got the ones that I still wear, like actually right now all the time from Amazon. I got them before our baby moon because I wanted just like a squishy, good thick sole shoe that was waterproof, that I could wear like to the beach, to the pool, basically like around the resort. Ones that didn't hurt my feet, ones that I didn't trip on, because I got some for our Puerto Rico. Did we go to Puerto Rico? No, in Punta Cana. I got some for our Punta Cana trip that was taken last spring in 2024 that were very similar. And for some reason they were really like chunky all the way around, and it was like I would almost eat it faceplant in them like 2 to 3 times every time I wore them. So that was not a good idea. So I got these from Amazon. Obviously, if you have the funds, I would get the OOFOS. I feel like they're the OG like cloud slide shoe. And if I had realized how much I would be wearing these shoes back in like February when I ordered them, I would have just gone ahead and gotten OOFOS. I honestly might get OOFOS still because I wear these shoes all the time. But if not, I highly recommend my Amazon ones. I do think I have them linked in my Amazon storefront on my like pregnancy, maternity board of things, because like I said, they have saved me. So basically these shoes, once we got to warm-ish weather in Middle Tennessee, these shoes became my everyday, all the time shoes. And I'm still wearing them all the time because they're just so easy and quick to slide on and off. But in my pregnancy, the last like 4 to 5 weeks of my pregnancy, I had really swollen feet. My fingers swole, I would say like a little over halfway in, which I wasn't expecting. And then I did not have swollen feet, ankles, cankles, any of that kind of thing for the longest time. And I thought like I would just be lucky and not get them. Wrong. I did. I definitely got it, and it was miserable. Not only do you have this big belly that you can't like bend down and do things well, so like tying shoes or putting shoes on that have like intricate buckles or anything like that, not only is that really challenging, but your feet really do swell. My feet like stopped fitting into certain shoes that I have completely, and then certain shoes, like certain sandals and stuff, they would fit. Then if I sat for too long or something in them, they would swell and they would start to hurt in the shoes really badly. And the worst was like if my feet were hurting from my shoes and then so I took the shoes off, then if I had to get the shoes back on, they were not going back on. And that was quite a challenge in some situations. So anyways, I basically lived in these shoes. And one specific pair of tennis shoes that I have that are like chunky tennis shoes, they have more room in them, I feel like. And so those were the 2 shoes that I literally lived in for the last like 4 to 5 weeks of my pregnancy. I feel like I had some sandals that I would wear to church, and then as soon as church was over every week, I would change into these shoes, and that was the only time I didn't wear these 2 shoes. But these are the ones I lived in like 90% of the time the last 4 to 5 weeks of my pregnancy. So get you some really, really comfortable slide-on shoes where you don't have to bend over and put them on, and ones that give your feet room to grow, because you're gonna need some shoes that are a little more spacious. The next thing is the Freedom Mom perineal wand. I got mine on Amazon, and I tried to link it on like my storefront, and it was gone. So I don't know if it's not sold on Amazon anymore or whatever, but there are many types of these perineal massage wands, so you don't have to get the Freedom Mom one. That's just the one I personally bought. If you're unfamiliar with perineal massage, I'm not going to explain it to you. You can look up what it is, how to do it, etc. If you have a pelvic floor therapist in your area, I cannot recommend seeing one enough. I feel like I've talked about it a few times in pregnancy vlogs. Super highly recommend it. But she did perineal massage on me. I can't remember exactly when she started doing it at my appointments, maybe around 32 to 34 weeks. But this is something that if you have a partner that is willing and able to give you perineal massage, that is more preferred than the wand. For comfort, it's probably a little more accurate, and it gets really difficult to do to yourself, even with the wand. But my husband travels for work. He actually was gone from weeks 34 to 37 of my pregnancy. And so I was having to do it myself if I wanted any chance of getting the benefits of perineal massage. So I highly recommend, if you have a spouse or a partner who is like a little squeamish, not interested in doing perineal massage, and you want the benefits of perineal massage, or if you have one that cannot do it because they're traveling or whatnot, what have you, I would recommend getting a perineal massage wand. The next thing is the Earth Mama Red Raspberry Leaf Tea. I personally enjoyed the brand Earth Mama because it is designed specifically for pregnancy. I didn't have to worry that it was not the correct thing, but you can start doing red raspberry leaf tea pretty early. I personally did not because my chiropractor did tell me she had heard stories where that did speed up someone's labor. And I was, of course, waiting till Luke got home. Literally the day Luke got home for good from traveling before our son was born, I started doing, I think 3 cups a day. I think 3 cups a day is about the max that they want you to consume. But if you want to start it earlier and start at like 1 cup a day and build yourself up, there were a lot of recipes on TikTok, on Pinterest, on Google, etc. of good like drink mixes to do with the red raspberry leaf tea, because I will say it's not like great tasting like by itself. So I did a bunch of recipes with lemon juice or lemonade, honey, and like a little bit of like a fruit cocktail of different kinds of juice, and made myself like a little juice and lemonade blend that was super refreshing, and had my red raspberry leaf tea because this will help strengthen the muscles in your pelvic floor, just give them a little bit more like strength for birth. And the last product that I have to recommend to you are dates. The medjool dates. I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly, but I think those are the like pregnancy safe ones, or the ones that are like recommended a lot of times if you're looking up dates with pregnancy. But I hate dates. I hate them so much. I am not a picky eater. There's very few things that I just do not like, but unfortunately dates are one of them. Luckily, I only did the dates for like a week. Yeah, like about a week. So that was like short-lived, which was nice. But dates do ripen your cervix and help you with effacement and dilation. It can help get things going, speed things up just a little bit. For some people, I do know of some people who do the tea, who do the dates, all of it, and they still go to like 41 weeks and have an induction. So it's not guaranteed, but it can help. I personally found that the best way to eat the dates were either absolutely slathered in peanut butter so that you didn't taste it, because peanut butter did mask the natural taste of dates, or making a smoothie. And this is how I did mine most of the time. I would do a peanut butter banana smoothie, and I would use peanut butter or peanut butter protein powder, sometimes both. And then I would put the dates in there and they would blend really well into the smoothie, and you would not taste it because of the peanut butter again. So that was how I personally ate my dates. You can do it however you want to do it. Some people love dates and I'm like, you're set. But I did not love dates, so I had to look up some ways to enjoy them better. And those are all of my products that I have for review, for like a product recommendation during my 3rd trimester. The last thing I have are to go over the foods that I personally craved in my 3rd trimester, because I think I've done this in my other 2 videos. This is a pretty short list and not super different from previous trimesters. I will say, I was someone that never craved anything weird. I feel like there's tons of like myths and stories out there of like pregnant women who had just really weird pregnancy cravings, and they would put like really different things together and make a little concoction that they loved and were craving. I never had any of that. So I don't know if it's just different personalities. I don't know if there's any like old wives' tale about it with like if you're carrying a boy or a girl, if it's worse or better in like either one. I have no idea, but I don't think I ever wanted anything that was really like weird together. I did have cravings, but they weren't weird. So the first one are donuts. This one is like probably the most off-putting for me because I am someone that has never been a big donut person. Like if they're available and it's a good kind of donut, I'll eat one, but I never have gone out of my way to go get donuts or like been like, man, I really want a donut kind of thing. But I was like super into donut holes from this donut shop that's about 5 minutes from our house, and it turned into, in my 3rd trimester, I was going like 2, sometimes even 3 times a week for breakfast to get a dozen donut holes. So yeah, donuts was the one thing that I really liked. The next thing is chocolate / desserts. I really just full-fledged hit pregnancy send on these sweets in my 3rd trimester. In my 1st trimester, I like did not want sweets at all. And then, well, I shouldn't say that, but it was like, it wasn't a craving and I wasn't really indulging. In my 3rd trimester, it was like every night I was like, what's my sweet treat? I was loving the sweets, and especially chocolate. And then the next two things I think have been in all of my trimesters, and they've also been true for me postpartum because it's just a personal thing, I think, but fresh fruit and acai bowls, which are full of fresh fruit. I eat acai bowls all the time. I love them so much. I also love fresh fruit. We went to my grandmother's for breakfast just yesterday as of the day I'm filming this, and she had some fresh cut up peaches from the peach truck and a fresh watermelon cut up. And I literally could have, I told them, I was like, I could have just eaten these two things and like biscuits out of the whole breakfast spread because I just have always loved fruit. I'm a fruit girl. Those were the things that I loved during my third trimester. Food-wise, those are the things I craved. But let me know if you have been pregnant before in your third trimester, what you craved. I would love to know in the comments. Okay, you guys, and that is going to be it for this third trimester tips, tricks, product reviews, food cravings, foods that I loved video. This is it. This is finishing off this pregnancy as far as the vlogs for the pregnancy. The next video that you guys can look forward to is going to be introducing our son and hearing all about my labor and delivery experience, his birth story, and I can't wait to just finally share that with you guys. I always loved listening to birth stories during my pregnancy, pre-pregnancy. I think it's super entertaining and I love it. So look forward to that video and then lots of true motherhood videos to come. I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video and I will catch you then. Bye.